We are just running through this as ever. It's not easy, but I'm not complaining. Thank you so much for this wonderful welcome that I received on Twitter yesterday. Truly amazing. The comments, everything. We broke 800 subscribers. A huge landmark here. Artist Journal, April 11th, 2023. Broadcasting from the ship in my mind in Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli, and welcome back. We have Debbie T, a name that, if you don't know, is, I'd say, a pretty, for lack of a better word, classic name. Someone who's been around this scene for a while. One of the first artists you discover on Tezos, on Object, when you first land on planet Tezos, and just a wonderful, wonderful artist celebrating her birthday with a fruitcake. And let's just look at the description here. Fruitcake party. It's my birthday. Come get a piece of fruitcake. Debbie T. Already 3 Tezos on secondary. I think she sold it for like 0.08, like 8 cents, basically 10 cents. And again, it kind of, there's a couple of things. First of all, Debbie T for me, which kind of made it easier for me to start with this work because her work encapsulates in many ways, for me, the spirit of the NFT scene with this celebration of, say, the JPEG icon. There's something very kind of self-referential about the work. And it also kind of incorporates here. So that is one thing. So, because if you were to put a poster for just, to illustrate the point, let's say you were putting a poster for the art show that we're going to see today. And I was like, okay, here's my art show. What are you going to put on the poster? Well, maybe you put a big JPEG, right? So, and Debbie T, as we're going to see, I'm going to show some of her other work here very quickly. Just in case you don't know it, it kind of, again, encapsulates that JPEG NFT spirit so beautifully. So happy birthday, a massive happy birthday to Debbie T from over here in Berlin. And one of the things I also want to point out is, I think this is asymmetric writing, is how you pronounce it, like writing that is visual but doesn't mean anything. And I think this is asymmetric writing, if I'm pronouncing that right. And here you have almost this cool Monopoly board and this curvy thing, which probably doesn't mean anything. A burger with a candle, I love that. The robot, the Michelin tire guy. Just so much fun. And that's what one of the things I like about it, keeping it light, beautiful, and spectacular. And Debbie T has made giclée prints. And that's something else we should look at here. And they're stunning. These colors, when you print them out properly, make gorgeous physical work here. So again, happy birthday to Debbie T. Look at these beautiful notes here. These rainbow music notes. I don't know if I've ever seen a rainbow music note. So again, has a very designery kind of look and feel to it. But this is art. Right, but it's kind of on the more, it kind of resides somewhat in that nebulous zone, that ambiguous zone between art and design, right? And as we've discussed on previous episodes here, I had a roommate like 5 years ago, to rephrase this, who asked me, all right, Adrian, you have answers for everything. What is the difference between art and design? And I actually do have an answer for that. And for me, if we look at the word design, and we go to, when I saw Vasari's Lives of the Artists and Art and Architects, or Artists and Architects, or Artists and Poets, I should know that. But anyways, when we look at Vasari, I just remember seeing Masters of Designy, Masters of Design, but we also look at the word in reference to Renaissance artists. Vasari was, wrote the first biographies, really, of the Italian artists, including Michelangelo and others, masters of designy. And then we look at the word dessin, which is to draw in French. Okay, so when you ask me what is the difference between art and design, for me, art is a poetic form of design, because design in its in a classic sense, we might say, is like a website, right? So what is the difference between a website and this? Well, I'd argue this is quite poetic, with its rainbow hearts, its burger and candle, its JPEG cake, right? That's poetry in my world. Like, these are kind of irrational, in a good way, celebrations. It's not just, design is very rational. So it's incorporating the irrational into design, making it kind of poetic, right? And so anyways, so yeah, this is clearly art. But you see the designery kind of look to it, the look and feel. So that is kind of how I start to, categorize it in my mind. It's art is a poetic form of design. It's all design. It's all désigné. But art is the poetic form, and that is how I kind of separate a website from, say, painting in my world. And here's just another example of how Debbie T kind of is just emblemizes, I want to say, or even just represents and just, again, captures the spirit of the NFT scene. And here we see these JPEGs here. So it's just fun. And let me just find one more here. Yeah, like this one here, Object Squad. These are out in, like, I think 2021. Like, she's been around for a while and has done a lot of really interesting things in the NFT scene. And she's made her own prints. And anyways, you see the juggler JPEG. Here you see GIF, MP3. Here you see JPEG to Patronome, which I actually don't know what it means, but you see the celebration here. She does it kind of like, is good, if not better than anybody else, this kind of celebration of the JPEG GIF, or one of the best, let's put it that way. Let's keep it simple here. So anyways, a gorgeous work. And then we come back here, just beautiful, beautiful work here. So continuing on, big shout out to Tater Tots. I almost missed this. I mean, if you can believe it, someone does a portrait of you, and I just saw it at the last minute when Leprochant had retweeted it, and I was going over Leprochant's feed because Leprochant tweets a lot of great work. I just followed Leprochant like 2 days ago. Nice follow, tweets a lot of good stuff, as you can, and other stuff here. So anyways, tons of stuff, but let me look at this, the portrait. Stay rad, Adrian, and have a great week from Tater Tots. My girlfriend loved this. I just sent it to her, and I love it too. It's a beautiful portrait. I knew right away it was me, and I love this too. So anyways, I totally appreciate it. I did them a while ago. Hope you get a kick out of these Pocobellies. So I thank you, Tater Tots. I mean, that really is super awesome. Like, super awesome. And I love it. My girlfriend loves it, and just super cool. Thank you. Huge show tomorrow that I'm super excited about. Hasdrubal Waffle. I'm going to show you maybe one of my favorite Hasdrubal Waffle works in a second here, in case you don't know who that is. But just as I put here, a one-of-a-kind talent. And we started the show with Hasdrubal Waffle yesterday. Anyways, I pinned this up on my Twitter. If you want to have a conversation, join the conversation with Runetoon and myself on tomorrow's show with Hasdrubal Waffle. So that should be super fun. And Hasdrubal seems like a pretty cool dude. And here actually is a work that I was bidding on, that work I was mentioning yesterday that I bid on with Lagojo for. And anyways, this is just, if you're wondering who Hasdrubal Waffle is, it's the person that made this stunning work of art here. So yeah, like, again, we're discussing masterpieces here. It's pretty tempting to put that in this category. Look at how loose, again, it's almost like paint splashing, but it's digital. But it captures all the richness, the texture of painting. I mean, this is an unbelievable work of art. And even just the expression here, this mad kind of Joker figure, or just inspired person, almost like a Harlequin, which we're going to see a little later here from Ile anyway. Beautiful, beautiful one of one. I felt very lucky to get that. Guess who this is? This is Runetoon, and this is Dr. Version. So anyways, they are at MoMA. So I was just Runetoon sent me a message yesterday, and I was just so thrilled. I mean, that they met up. Dr. Version used to live in New York and has moved to Florida, but was coming back on business. So anyways, they met up and went to MoMA, and there's that famous AI artwork. And Runetoon's going to talk about the experience. Hopefully Dr. Version shows up too. He's been at the last few. And so anyways, so that is so much fun. And we're going to talk about that at the start of tomorrow's Twitter Spaces as well. And here are some photos from Runetoon, and I believe he's going to put out a thread with some of the videos. So we'll retweet that and highlight it here when that happens. I think this is Nampak, if I had to guess. This is also from the MoMA. So this is the AI art that everybody has been seeing. Kind of interesting to see. It looks like it doesn't look like a projector, does it? And I'm going to ask about that. Like, is this a massive TV? Interesting, or is this a projector? I thought there were some projectors you could use in the daytime. Anyways, and displays, which is an ongoing discussion because people see this with NFTs and they might go, oh, what's with all the wires? This is so poorly done. But I think this is Nampak, if I remember right, a conceptual artist out of Korea who's been using kind of like these retro tech for decades, actually. So that is part of the artwork. And so anyways, so we'll ask Runetoon all about that tomorrow. Thank you for the comments and the welcoming spirit yesterday. That was really cool and felt great. A couple of comments I want to highlight. Martin Baldwin, going back to the person who felt jaded with NFTs. So I believe we were talking about OSF, who was very kind of unhappy with, what seems to be what's happening with Blur and, saying that it's kind of wrecked the NFT scene to a certain degree. I personally feel that despite what I would call noise, there's a real creative thing going on. I feel a lot that this is happening on Tezos, and I feel also think that Tezos NFTs will be better regarded and be worth more money in the future. Tezos might even challenge ETH in the future. I could see the art. This is something we've discussed like maybe 100 episodes ago. I could see the art at a certain point with what I call the great revaluation. If and when that happens, I could actually see the art because at the end of the day, we might care about the blockchain now and everything, but if, let's say for whatever reason, purely speculation, ETH crashes, maybe something doesn't work, maybe DOT takes over, who knows, just for the sake of argument. I mean, you could see, actually, there's quite a few scenarios, should ETH not hold up for some reason, where Tezos art, and then it's just about the art and not the blockchain it's on. Because we are living in this world where the blockchain kind of has a huge impact on how much we spend. If I'm buying it on ETH, I'm probably ready to pay 10 times what I'm willing to pay on Tezos. So all to say, this could reverse at some point, and I agree with you, Martin. I could see that happening. That's kind of like a far out prediction that I think actually will likely occur. At least there will be a great revaluation at some point of Tezos art, I suspect. And thank you, DJ Kiro, for sending these artists here. We've actually looked at MCHX several times in the past, but thank you for sending this list here and everybody who's sending the list. I still haven't gone in detail on the lists that were sent on the Friday before I left, but I appreciate everybody sending that. That's super helpful. Okay, and shout out to Rada on the song there, on the opening song. So anyways, and actually let's just look at Rada's comment there. That song also makes me feel at home. So yeah, exactly. I appreciate that. Ile, and this was funny too. I don't want to be basic, but I do want to know about the extraordinary pasta and wine, and just on the trip to Italy, and also Uxine, did you try the Bulgari Rosso? So I had never even heard of Bulgari before. So obviously Uxine is a cultured individual here, at least when it comes to wine. And I'll show you the pub that I went to this place here, La Borocchiaia, if I'm pronouncing that right. And at one of these, wood crates here, the waiter actually recommended a Bulgari, if I'm pronouncing that right, and so I tried it and it was delicious. So shout out to Uxine, and to also, just a recommendation for everybody if you like your red wine. Hello, Strange Thing, I believe. I'm a huge fan of red wine, especially with food and everything. My body loves it, just in terms of it has very little problem acclimatizing to it. Anyway, I could go on and on. And as far as restaurants, Ile, you have to plan, is what I realized from this trip because the food was almost a little disappointing, shockingly, but that's our own fault because we didn't plan enough, I think, the food. So then all of a sudden you end up somewhere like Florence and it's like a track, the tourist track, and you're kind of on this racetrack and it's kind of hard to get off to a certain degree. And so this was one place we went to in Livorno, which was awesome. I think it's been around, like there's a newspaper on the wall saying it was from 1750 or something like that, La Pino d'Oro, and it just seems like a family-run sort of spot. That was awesome. Here's a picture, actually, of the inside. Let me just bring that up if I can. And here it is. Yeah, so this was classic. And that was the inside. They kind of screw up your orders and everything. Like, it's like a whole drama. You could make a TV show. And luckily I read the reviews, which were either super good, and then you get a few that were like, our food didn't even come, and this sort of thing. So I was kind of ready for that. And so anyways, it was unbelievable. The truffle sauce pasta was super good. And you see here, there's a lot of seafood in Livorno. I'm not a huge seafood person, but yeah, look at the pizza. Actually, yeah, so we got the pizza too. And I think here's the picture of the truffle pasta. So anyways, my counsel to you is we're lucky to stumble across this place too. So we did find some non-touristy places. But my counsel to you is to plan the food out and don't rely on ChatGPT for the food either. So anyways, but it was fantastic overall. But we could have planned that part out a little bit better. But I mean, just finally on the red wine at that Pinot d'Oro, a half liter for €3 and then a bottle of water for €2. It's like they'd never updated the prices since like 2015. And I mean, that was typical, actually. And you find that similar thing in Greece, where you go to Greece and you get like a half liter for €5, which is like $5.50 US. Okay, so that was really interesting, and it's good. It's not like lame red wine. I mean, often in Berlin, if you get a red wine, it's kind of iffy, and then you're spending €7 for what they call a 0.2, and even the glasses have. Anyways, I could go on and on. Another story, but thank you for asking. And we could have planned better in that regard. A couple of updates from Midjourney. So this is from April 7th. We launched 2 new features, Repeat and Permutations. Pro subscribers can now create up to 64 images simultaneously and ask for up to 40 combinations of prompts in a single query. So this to me looks like things are going kind of exponential. So I am tempted to get back into Midjourney, and especially if they're talking about banning it, which Germany and France are, at least temporarily, ridiculously in my view, but everybody's free to have their opinion on that. And so anyways, all to say, I think it's great. Things are going exponential here. So I think, remember when Strange Thing was saying, learn AI? That's kind of echoing in my head right now as I see these updates from Midjourney, and we see the work from people like Tukes, who was saying, and in a comment yesterday, sent me a message how Describe, just talking about the show, thank you for showing it, and the Describe command is also kind of like, I don't know if Tukes called it mind-blowing, but like a big deal. And so this also came out. This is April 4th. Today we're releasing a Describe command that lets you transform images into words. And this is something we were discussing, and can you reverse engineer the prompt? And then someone who is familiar with AI commented and said you can. Anyways, this has become a formal command on Midjourney called Describe images into words. Now, the question remains for me, can you take a Strange Thing, upload it to Midjourney and say, give me the words give me the words, and then I can take those words and then put it into Midjourney again and then prompt it and get a Strange Thing? I don't know. Kind of. So anyways, tempted to go back into Midjourney there. And a couple of studio shots from Xmortal. So a video mixer here with what looks like some audio gear and everything. Look at this. So beautiful. That looks like almost like new Roland video mixer, and very cool. And here's another one with some glitch gear from Somfei. The Spectralume is absolutely beautiful. And look, it's sort of like image enhancer color correction. So that sounds super promising there too. So just cool shots from Xmortal. Check this out. This beautiful work, which seems like a play on The Last Supper by Leonardo. And if you ever go to Milan, make sure you book ahead of time because they only let in a few people to see that every day. So you very rarely can get in on the same day. I still haven't seen it because both times I've been to Milan, I did not book ahead of time. So that's also another tip if you're traveling Italy. Anyway, this work by Manital, the color. This beautiful color, these light colors. Remember that sometimes light colors can seem a bit more attractive? Well, here Manital is showing this in spades with this very witty work, isn't it? I mean, it's a witty work, and it seems to be a play on The Last Supper. I mean, you have the 3 windows here in the background, but here you have a cat with an apple on its head, and these kind of happy cats, and the drama here, this cat peeking from behind, all within the frame that's being seen in a gallery. So this is on Solana. I picked one up. I dusted off my Solana wallet and picked one up. The Cat's Supper. And a great title here, and they're all eating, fish there and everything, and there's a tie, just a really cool work on Solana for $7. And I have to say, when I bought a work on Solana here, like when I picked this up, what a smooth experience that is. It's just instant. And, so Solana still remaining interesting here. Now, on that front, so form function shut down. Right? And here, let me just bring this up. So today is the day. So let me just bring up. So if you go to formfunction.xyz, this is what you get. So I was curious. Adelia has released works on form function. So is it kind of like OpenSea where those works will show up? And they don't. So that is interesting. This is kind of an open question that we had. So that is unfortunate. And so yeah, now what they're doing here, today's the day we're fully open sourcing the code for form function. This includes the code for our front end, back end, and Solana programs. Sounds like they're just giving it all away rather than selling it. With this, it's possible to spin up a local instance of form function in under 10 minutes. So I really hope someone kind of takes this over like Taya did with Hen. And so it seems like here's all the instructions, and I'm not sure what this means, but I absolutely miss form function. I'm not motivated to upload my abstracts on Solana anymore. So anyways, that is the latest on form function there. But yeah, so exchange art, maybe I think increasingly now that form function is kind of defunct, exchange art really is becoming like the object of Solana, right? OBJKT. Uxine with a funny comment here, how my brain looks like when I pretend to listen to conversations about art. And having been to many artist talks in Berlin, these overly abstract talks, and I don't know if that's what Uxine is referring to here, but it's, I've been there, and they can be tedious. These, that's why I try and be very practical, pragmatic, real world examples, fairly simple here, because I've been to just too many art talks that are just, you've been there for 2 hours and you're bored out of your mind and you don't even know what they're saying. And I'm not sure they know what they're saying. Anyway, continuing on, Synthesized Rainbow by Muji. This is beautiful. This came out April 4th. So we're still playing catch up a little bit here. A beautiful work here. And I'm pretty sure we didn't look at this yesterday. Synthesized Rainbow, a dance of colors made on retro software, among other processes. 356 by 400, available for 4 Tezos 20. And on primary, so cool work there. Some more pixel art, Nicholas Dietrich. Blue Savannah, the action of observation changes the object being observed. So a little bit more cats, more maybe Schrodinger's cat here. And anyway, pretty cool pixel art. Again, this kind of really sophisticated pixel art. I love the contrast because, again, it reminds you of Minecraft and kids, and everybody loves pixel art, but it's very fun to put kind of high-end ideas within that context. So anyways, probably all sorts of interesting references that I don't even know here. Buy for 3 on primary. There are 16 left. And more interesting pixel art, boxes being moved in groups of 4 by Kareem Safa, who has also been around Tezos for a long time. A really cool, what I'd almost call a pixel art factory, similar to what we see in Gogolitis and more. So anyways, just a nice black and white version here on Twitter. And another work on exchange.art, more pixel art, the funny orang catchers, and this is by B Pixels, available for $33. So you see how cheap that Manadal Cat Supper is at, I think it was like $7, 0.35 sol. So that is a huge deal there. Anyways, orang. So anyways, just another kind of, we've seen this trope before of these kind of toy machines with the mechanical arm and everything. So that is on exchange.art. Another kind of interesting kind of pixel art-ish work, this time by 0x Art. And here you see it, and kind of reminiscent of the guy that uses the video cameras. Is it RIP? RIP Cache. And so here you have some windows and everything. So just kind of an interesting work, cool colors here, found on Twitter. And a little bit more pixel art, this time from Notorious Man XTZ, and interesting colors here, some nice dithering, oceanic horizon, and a little bit of poetry there, and just a pretty work here. And someone there in the distance, on the road, looking off in the distance with probably a beautiful sunset here. Available for $4.99 on secondary, only one left, and this sold for $185 on primary. Zoxo, Z-O-X-O, and this is from March 30th. I don't think we've looked at this one, Orbiting Stars, and almost a bit of a Super Mario theme here in the iconography. Kind of looks like Super Mario stars, doesn't it? So anyways, just interesting work from Z-O-X-O. And this was also interesting. So this is Françoise Gamma, and Françoise has posted an older work here just recently. This is from a work from 2006. You could almost miss it here in the description. 2006 for half an ETH. So you see, Françoise Gamma has been making interesting digital art for close to 20 years. Right? Probably making work before this, and this is pretty good looking work here. So anyways, that is on Foundation. It's called Spam. Very interesting, and someone on their computer here. Very impressive and cool. Here's a new work by Françoise Gamma, Walk Bip. And this looks great too. Another variation on the walking figure, this time repeated 3 times. Almost like a Warhol here. Edition of 60, 47 left at 3 Tezos. Here's another one, NIR. And someone running, and yeah, very cool dithering here, playing with the, kind of in a very oblique way, reminds me of Uxine, taking different layers and different renditions and then turning that into a GIF. And here you just have these different renditions of the walking figure, more animated here. I mean, you see the running, so that's different, but different renditions in here of the dithering and then just kind of layered into a GIF. Here's an artist we haven't looked at for a while, Luciana Guerra, and continuing with the very interesting abstracts here. These are on Super Rare. Almost, you can see like the physicality and the texture barely here, if you look up close here, and just really interesting, tons of things going on here, beautiful colors from Luciana Guerra, reserve of 0.7, abstraction and figuration present. In this series, abstraction and figuration meet, presenting us a new and unexpected world where everything is possible as long as we wish it. So Fantasy is the name of the work, and here's another one, Where is Heaven, also at 0.7 reserve, inspired by night and everything hidden in the dark. So let's just take a closer look. So pretty original, interesting abstracts, if you ask me, kind of incorporating a lot of different mark making, almost physical brushes, meeting with pixelation here, just a whole lot of everything. So it would kind of go well in an abstract show with maybe Santiago, just bringing in, again, it's kind of that, not quite the meat grinder, but bringing in things from all over the place, what I'd almost want to call digital detritus, internet detritus, digitalia. Beautiful work. Cool works from Rosatio. So this was from April 1st, and Escaping Dystopia Reprise, Digital Collage and Digital Drawing. So a little bit of animation in here too, in the background, interestingly. An interesting way to animate, isn't it? Because it's not something moving, it's just, again, taking different kind of renditions of this background and then animating the background color, basically, in a very subtle way. And some references to Windows here, almost Mac Windows and everything. So cool work from Rosatio. Here's another one, Unknown Error. This is also from April 1st. So very cool. And again, the same technique here, where the animation is actually the background color and it makes it move. So just super interesting, Unknown Error. And again, so here we actually get, and this is a noun, so Rosatio does a Tez noun, and here we see a bit of animation in the fire and the eyes here, and also these circles, but also with that background animation there. So interesting solution is how I'd put all that. These tend to sell pretty well. Yeah, this sold for 90 Tezos to Gata Moto. So very cool. Kappa Sage, edition of 9, Demons Protected by Angels. So this came out actually April 10th, so very recent here. Gotta love the tie on fire. And even this purse kind of shark bag and everything. And the risque figure here melding with the couch and everything. So again, kind of more surreal work from Kappa Sage here. There you can almost see Sage, Kappa, and everything. A brick wall on top of a landscape almost. So again, it kind of has the feeling of almost some of those Renaissance paintings where almost here would be the God figure looking down on the earthly world here. And you even see a cross there and, almost crying blood a little bit there. Demons protected by angels. So it does have that kind of otherworldliness here, up here, interestingly, 9 Tezos. And Moda MT moving day and night. This was also a really interesting what I'd call narrative painting here, also referring up here to almost a kind of otherworldliness, right? This light, again, reminiscent of these kind of Renaissance paintings, even medieval, where, it's almost like, is it St. Francis getting the stigmata? And then all of a sudden, the holes in the hands here, but a different take on it, more just a light connection with what seems to be our protagonist, a self-portrait, I believe, of Moda MT, and going through sort of a bit of a dodgy area here, this dark, almost underpass here in a tricky part of town here with a lot of graffiti, and there is V. So anyway, it's just an interesting work. Moving day and night, digital painting, 5 Tezos. And you can still there are still 3 left on primary. Always an interesting kind of I'd say a very honest painter, which makes Moda MT super interesting. I want to bring up this old Ed Marola work. We've actually looked at it before, I believe. But after seeing that tweet where Ed was saying that he uses Midjourney as a source, and all of a sudden I saw this again, and I thought, this almost looks like when Midjourney renders those 4 works, and it almost looks like a screen capture, so to speak, of a Midjourney rendition. And what I love about that is, if that's what's going on, is it's kind of using modern structures, just like we saw with Rosatio using the Windows, the Mac Windows, and just using all this kind of language of the present. To quote Ballard on Burroughs, this language of the present, and we're going to have to dig up that essay, Mythmaker of the 20th Century. So to me, when I see what looks like what I'm starting to think is a Midjourney structure here, I see a very 21st century structure, speaking the visual vocabulary of the present, is where I'm going with this. So let's just see if we can quickly, Mythmaker of the 20th Century, this essay, this very important essay, Burroughs Ballard. Let's just see if we can find that. Here it is. Yeah, this is how hard it is to find some of this stuff. This is a great book, by the way. If you've never, this is worth buying. This work right here, Research Publications 8-9. And Mythmaker of the, maybe we have. This is kind of wild. Has someone, okay, no, it's just, okay, you can't read it here. But this is a very important essay. Let me just see. Okay, don't want to get too off track here. I'm going to dig up this essay for us because this has some very profound and important ideas in it and about using the language of the present, okay, which is what we saw in that Ed Merola work. I'd argue. It kind of looks like Midjourney. We will return to that. Look at this, tempted to call it a masterpiece here. This is another stunner from Dan Control, Mingo, which seems to be short for flamingo, incorporating the circular gradient here with this stunning flamingo work and just great gradients. So taking it to the next level, it's almost like I wish this was almost a one of one. I wonder what this would have went for. How many are left here? Only 19 left of this edition of 50. I think, Dan probably could have sold this. Like it brings in 200 Tezos here. Probably could have sold it for 200 Tezos like that as a one of one. This is, again, I was tempted to start with this. This is a gorgeous work from my perspective. I'll have to pick one up. Sweet Calm, Extreme Elegance. Really, really nice stuff. I'm not sure if we've looked at Ranexteer before. Found this on Twitter, I think. What is this called? Voyeur, kind of abstract work here. Kind of has a surrealist feel to it, but with some very modern colors to it. So anyway, it's just kind of a strange work. Kind of a lot of gradients in here too, or at least a little bit of gradients. And so anyways, Ranexteer. Let's take a quick look here. I don't think I've ever seen Ranexteer's work before. So just kind of interesting, a new artist for us all to follow. And of course, Kurt Hustle Collective, Cyberslum Express. So here we see Kurt Hustle on this credit card here. And so anyways, kind of fun. It looks like a debit card. And buy now for $19.97 on secondary. And here's J&K bursting through a brick wall. So almost playing with these early, or what looks like wrap covers from the 90s, back to the 1997 theme. J&K's to name. Kurt Hustle says, my appetite for destruction is the hustle. So anyways, just cool work from J&K. And here's another one, a one of one called The Internet. And so just kind of a cool GIF here and glitched out and just some retro computers turning with The Internet. I love it. Great title. And are there any offers yet? None yet. Okay. Spagels Maskinen with a work with Fake Whale. And I actually think I listened to, in the airport in Pisa, I think I was listening to a Fake Whale Twitter space with Spagels and other people, cover on cover. It was super interesting, actually. I think it's Spugels Maskinen, but people call him Spagel too, according to Spagel. So anyways, just a cool work here, a new one. And again, Spugels Maskinen, just the other day, Xcopy was basically, giving the shout out to Spagels. So now you have to pay 350 Tezos for this edition of 10. And here's another work from Spagels, Good Night, and a bed with a big floating bubble of sorts, plastic bubble of sorts, dithered out. Cool work. Here's some more asymmetric writing, Beyond the Signal. And this is an artist called Claire DK, and this was retweeted out by Spagels Maskinen. Pretty good looking work, isn't it? And of course, asymmetric writing, again, is writing, as far as I understand it, that has no meaning. It's kind of just visual. It looks like writing, but there is no signification. So it is, it's basically sign without meaning, I guess we'd call it. And so anyway, here it is. It's hard to tell if it's digital or physical. Asymmetric calligraphy. And you know what's interesting? It's starting to matter less and less to me, interestingly. We have another one, whether it was made with Procreate or not, because now, like if I make a physical drawing, I'm probably looking to scan it in at some point and on my scanner. And if I'm making artwork on Procreate, I've printed out work that I've made digitally, or actually, no, you could do that, or I've made work that I've made kind of large as with graphite, shrunk it down, scanned it in, shrunk it down, and then printed it out as an A3, and it looks exactly like graphite, but it was made with an inkjet. So anyways, it's fun to travel, again, through the mediums here. So I'm not sure if this is physical or not. Sumi Ink, it kind of looks like it. Original artwork by Claire. So this is probably a physical NFT. So interesting, beautiful, isn't it? 0.4 ETH is the price with a reserve of 0.2. And continuing on and speeding up, Flora Marquez has hit 100. So big congrats to Flora Marquez. What are you not letting out? So kind of a humorous one here. And a beautiful pink, almost like a swan here, almost thinking of the flamingos here. So by Flora Marquez, and this was picked up by, I was going to guess, Mentalist 420 for 20 Tezos. And here, so these are digital works made on Procreate, and it's great to see Diego Barro back. People who have been viewing this show since August will remember Diego. So Diego is back on the scene here with some beautiful, what look like ballpoint pen works, but made with Procreate. So again, it's starting to get blended more and more as we see physical NFTs on one hand, works that are basically being photographed or scanned in, and then we see tools like Procreate, which make, sometimes physical tools that are better than actual that makes emulation of physical tools that are better than actual physical tools. So here, anyway, is a beautiful work by Diego, a nice drawing, and here's another one. Edition of 5 for 2 Tezos. And cool, I like how he puts the title underneath there too. There's a signature. So anyways, very interesting. Digital drawing made on an iPad using Procreate, imitating rollerball pen Bic technique. So very interesting. Here's an artist that I really like as well, Stolka. And this almost looks like kind of a play on the PFP. And there's the identity card underneath, surrounded with hearts, almost like a driver's license with hearts on it. The very first human and android in the cult. Her role is to assist everyone who joined the CC. Office assistant, she, her, 169 centimeters, self-sufficient engine. So interesting, reserve of 0.07 from Stolka on Foundation. And here are other works by Stolka on Foundation. Just a really interesting artist for me. Speaking of just kind of art of the present, if you look at Stolka's work on Object, some beautiful works there as well. And here's someone who I don't think we've looked at before, Sony Lemon, with some abstracts, and just kind of looks like some modernist type, almost painterly abstracts. Like you can see here, the grays sort of change colors. So anyways, just kind of good looking abstract works here. Circumference number 6, and here are more. So there are 6 of these, and yeah, so you see just playing with abstraction here, 14 pages. So I wonder, you always discover new people, geometric art and generative code from Sony Lemon. Klaus, with a really cool, simple sine wave, which looks great. And here it is, just so simple. That's what I think I love about it, but so kind of rich with texture here. 1 of 1, let's see if it sold for only 10 Tezos. So that is a pretty good deal. I think we have another one from Klaus here too. And this is called Dome. Real-time generative graphics made in Quartz Composer is fed through various analog video hardware like Panasonic, Edirol, Sony, Tachyons. So anyways, seems pretty, I guess we'd call this glitch, using kind of retro tools here, so interesting. And continuing on, this was interesting. This was retweeted by Sabato Lidice, who we've looked at before, and this text is highlightable. So just kind of a, tricky work here. I'd say interesting work, very contemporary feeling with kind of broken glasses here. So I was looking at the write-up a little bit here. It's a installation, virtual installation is a net art piece created in collaboration with Nagwell Box that draws inspiration from songs Army of Me. Is that Bjork? And also a voiceover reading from Hito Style, I think is how you pronounce Hito Style's name, who is actually a pretty famous contemporary art personality who maybe a lot of you haven't heard of. This is someone whose name I had to learn when I came to Berlin in 2016, who is a very big deal in the contemporary art world. I find sometimes Hito's work is a little obscure. Like I've heard Hito give a talk at Haus der Kultur der Welt here a few years ago, and put it this way, it's just very heavy on post-structuralism, which you may or may not like. It's not for me, if you're not clear, I start to get suspicious, because usually ideas can be made simple. Sometimes there are very complex ideas, but explained with the time, you can. So I get a little suspicious when things get a little too complicated in terms of just ideas, because I don't think we can know that much at the end of the day. So especially when we're going outside of the scientific sphere, I think, as they say, knowledge is very hard won. It's hard to know almost anything. I mean, that's Socrates, right? The only thing that I know is nothing at all. And that is a very kind of, I think, wise way of approaching the world, is we hardly can know anything. And so when things get too complicated, it just starts to be an edifice, a house of cards, so to speak, in terms of conceptually speaking. The more kind of complicated, some things are complicated though. So anyways, just opening up that conversation a little bit here. Now, Ledice Online put this on Taya, and I gotta say, Taya is loading up really fast, by the way, as we wrap up here. We're almost done here. But look at how quickly they solved the image loading problem on Taya, because that was one of the big reasons I didn't really use it that much, is because it took so long to load. So anyway, that's cool. And cool work from Ledice. Regardless, just super interesting kind of mixed media work there. Acid Soup with another, junk food. With ice cream here, we had Coke, we had hot dogs, we had hamburgers. I think we had fries. I'm not sure. Anyways, cool work from Acid Soup for $3.33. Let's just quickly look here. You have the hamburger, the donut, the pizza. So you see the theme here. So really cool series from Acid Soup. Here's another work. I'm not sure if Sabato retweeted this one too. Kind of a glitch work here. Generative art, trippy, new media art, glitch art. The only restart is back in the source. So here it is. Feels kind of glitchy, doesn't it? So just plain, kind of an abstraction here. Available for 7 Tezos and edition of 10. And some works by Coda Nakazono. So this, I guess, Coda might be repricing their works, which is why it appeared in my notifications here. So this is actually an older work by Coda Nakazono. Pretty cool, though, and interesting, actually, to go back in time. And here are some of the more recent works. So very prolific here. Putting out these in the last week, these last 5 or 6. And here, this is April 5th, so this is new. So again, always experimenting with different, it kind of reminds me of those PFPs that we were seeing from Human Kernel, as well as Hasdrubal Waffle, playing with the background and different kind of variations and, of the template, the hair is a certain way. Here, it seems like Coda is doing a similar thing. This is an older one. This is from January, but I love the pixelation on this one, so I decided to add it in here. So again, you see just like the experimentation. More experimentation. This came out April 7th. And I think these are selling out. These are very popular right now. And let's see what else. Here's another one from March 30th, available for 22 on secondary. I think we looked at this one with the cube. So anyways, cool work from Coda Nakazono as usual. Anna Dart. So some more very interesting AI art from Anna Dart. So this, I believe, is raw AI. So it continues to be very interesting here. AI art, JPEG, Anna Dart, and GAN. No Sun, No Name, number 23. Here's another one, No Sun, No Name, number 14. And again, these are all, I believe this is raw AI. So really cool how Anna is doing that. It's great to see just such originality with AI. Like, I mean, I haven't seen anybody it's almost like there's a sheet of glass over top of these portraits and with brush strokes over top. So anyways, here is more. Looking great, and these great kind of squares too. Super interesting. And Tukes, big shout out to Tukes with, what is this called? Beyond Matter investigates the transformative power of alchemy through a philosophical lens, highlighting the interconnectedness of science and spirituality in the pursuit of higher knowledge. So edition of 10, it's minted out for 15 hours left. And I think it's sold out. I'm not sure. So very cool series from Tukes here. Or 0 minted so far. So you can actually mint this out yourself. So that is cool. AI 10 editions, 1 high quality fine art print to be raffled among collectors. So very cool. Kind of reminded me of De Chirico here. See these kind of, especially here, where if we go back, you see these kind of edginess and all. It reminded me of De Chirico kind of quote unquote still life, just all these hard edges. And here is the Chemical Wedding by Max Ernst. Kind of reminded me of this too, this kind of mineralogical hard-edgedness of this famous Max Ernst wedding painting that I actually just recently saw here at Barberini just in Potsdam, just outside Berlin. Museum Barberini, I believe it's called. Some new works from Charles AI, who I haven't seen much from on my Twitter feed recently. Elemental Creation, The Artistic Journey with Braindrops Art. So maybe a collaboration here. So interesting edition, I think 1 of 7, maybe that's the tweet. Anyways, new works from Charles AI. And here you see just kind of interesting novel imagery courtesy of AI. Inventa with a new work here, Tres Hombres, 3 people. And here, and continuing interesting edges here as well. Kind of reminiscent of the Anna Dart with the kind of almost breaking the 3-dimensionality with the very 2-dimensional brush strokes, so to speak. So interesting. Buy for 8 Tezos, edition of 10. And a couple of more beautiful works from Sum of the Home Office, which I think, again, an art of the present here. The Home Office, courtesy of Sum, some beautiful colors. I suspect this is DAL-E because it's got those textures in it. HQ4, more beautiful, beautiful colors here. A different Home Office, a different rendering, even this beautiful orange stripe that kind of curves off a little bit at the top. Just beautiful. 2 Tezos, edition of 15, 8 left. And some works by Eile, who I suspect is also using DAL-E, because you see these similar textures here? And so anyways, kind of a Harlequin here, AI Dreamscape, AI and Digital Painting from Eile, edition of 10 for 2 Tezos, 6 left. And here is another one, West Hollywood art scene, with those same kind of really pretty painterly textures here. So kind of a fun subject matter here too. Nice rendering. LA AI. I've been, 10 years ago, I think it was 2012, I went to LA, and it's been a while since I've been back. Yeah, it definitely has its own feel, that scene. And another one by Eile, Crab Dream. This has a bit more of a Lenora Carrington sort of feel to it. Just kind of, surreal kind of flamingo here and everything. So anyways, just cool work from Eile in AI. And Marina Amadova, as we wrap up here, Everlasting Feminine Composition 12. This came out April 4th. So it looks like a flower here, rendered in AI with some bubbles. So anyways, really nice piece here, available for 10 Tezos. And there are 4 left. So let's just see, have any sold? One went to Caroline.tez. Very nice. And threesomes with some beautiful work here. A pool player. And again, these are painted trading cards. Okay, so physical trading cards that are painted and then a photograph is taken. So what I loosely call physical NFTs here. Beautifully done. Nice color and even the nice painterliness of this whole series. Young Tezos, straight pool. And here's another one of a goalie. And again, painted over, really nice piece, almost entirely painting over the trading card. But see, leaving just a little bit here. Very cool. And here's another one, kart racing. So again, almost completely covering the card here. So really interesting work from Threesomes there. Not cheap as usual. And a few physical works from Demon Ego, touches that turn into obsession. Again, this great layering. I mean, this is one of the, I'd say, classic poetic techniques is to make brushwork and then turn off that layer and then make something completely unrelated and then put that, colored brushwork and then make it reappear. And it's kind of like instant poetry. And we kind of see that technique here with physically. I mean, Sigmar Polka was the master of that. And we see it here with Demon Ego, where, basically this layer on top is completely ignoring the layer underneath. So you have these kind of like demon figures here, bird demon figures, let's say, walking through here. But so the outlines don't match up and here. So it creates this instant poetry, which is incredibly impactful. So anyways, beautiful work from Demon Ego as usual. And this looks like it's a notebook, right? You see, we're seeing the notebook in action, but we never see, I didn't clue in, like now it's starting to look more obvious that these are notebooks that Demon Ego is making. See, we always have that middle area here. So it's funny because then when you scan it, it transforms it really into kind of like a horizontal work where you don't really get that notebook division, shall we say. So anyways, interesting work. Torn Clothes of Trembling Memories, edition of 1 for 100 Tezos, and a couple more here. Horrific Faces Feast, making it look easy. This is beautiful too, kind of painting out, leaving your mistakes in a sense, potentially. Like it looks like this is maybe painted over and then redone, but not worrying about making it all disappear. And then all of a sudden you have this great texture underneath that doesn't line up. Instant poetry. So very sophisticated work from Demon Ego. And here's one more. The Flawless Side of Ugliness. Interesting title. And again, more paint here. It looks like more paint over top of maybe some collage here. So very physical looking work here as well out of the notebook. That notebook is amazing. And here's another one. And this one was just released and playing with different, what you might call printed textures here and everything. So anyways, cool work from Demon Ego. What to do before the next conquest, edition of 10 for 5 Tezos. And finally, Saniye, who we just started looking at with another physical work here, this time a painting of what looks like a guy in a suit and tie. So looking pretty great here, very painterly. And of course, Joao Salazar with a beautiful, I think these are made out of plasticine work, this time in black and white. So changing it up. And a lot of technology here, a keyboard, Game Boy, laptop, and on and on. So cool work from Joao Salazar. And finally, Walk in the physical world here. So that is cool. On the back of what looks like a leather trench coat here, there is Walk with almost what looks like a MetaMask fox there. Anyways, thank you for joining me, everyone. And